Now it's time for a business spotlight. This is the Adelaide Project.
Hello and welcome to the Adelaide Project Business Spotlight, brought to you by podcastcity.com.au. If you are looking for a way to engage your audience with your amazing content, then you need to talk to them about producing, recording, editing, videoing and distributing your very own podcast. Just go to podcastcity.com.au. I'm Ron Fiedler and you're back with the Adelaide Project Business Spotlight, showcasing the best businesses, organisation, people and events from Adelaide and South Australia. Would you classify yourself as a foodie? Do you appreciate perfectly prepared, cooked and presented dishes? Do you think of food as more of a journey than something just to fill you up? An experience where the right ingredients are put together to produce extraordinary flavours and textures? If so, this episode is for you. We're going to explore a business that's passion is to create exquisite items for people who love food, entertaining and dining out, but don't want to cook for them themselves. And the person behind the business wants to get to know their clients first before cooking any products for them, to create a relationship based on their taste and preferences of food, and to ensure that their event is an experience through the unique finger food menu that is created just for them. So it will be the talk amongst their social networks. Joining us today on the Adelaide Project Business Spotlight is the founder and chef of Amuse La Bouche Catering, Sara Rothermel. Sara is going to talk to us today about her business, her passion for people and cooking, and how she overcome diversity to be a woman in business, making her way in the catering industry. I'm pleased to welcome to the podcast and show Sara. Sara, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Ron. Lovely to be here.
Look, Sara, it is great to have you here to talk to us today about food, about cooking, about what you love, your passion. When people think about, catering events, most people think about cold platters of cold meats and cheeses, party pies, sausage rolls, maybe those cocktail franks or even quiches and mini pizzas. But when you have someone who is passionate about cooking and understands how to put flavors together, source and use the right ingredients to pair together, a plain ordinary catering event can become a unique food experience. And I'm excited to speak with you today because you're going to take us on your journey of how you started your catering business, how you put the menus together after you've met your clients so that they have a unique experience and food journey. Sara, please tell our listeners, how did this all begin for you?
Thanks, Ron. It all began for me when I was 8 years old.
Really?
Yes. I started cooking when I was 8. And my first memory of food was I was in grade 3 and our teacher asked us to cook something that we did at home or our mother made at home. So I chose to make a tuna mornay.
Oh, I love tuna mornay.
Yeah. So with tuna mornay, you've got to make a white sauce or a bechamel sauce, and it's quite tricky. You've got to get your flour and your butter together, and then you've got to pour your milk in slowly, and you've got to stir all the time, otherwise it goes lumpy. So my mum said to me, right, you do your butter and flour and then you put your milk in, but you must stir it all the time, otherwise it will go lumpy. So when I was at primary school, the kitchen was at the opposite end to my classroom. So we had to go from the activity room down the bottom of the yard to our classroom. And for the whole time, I was stirring this pot.
Oh, really?
Going from the activity room to the classroom. So that's my first memory of food.
Wow.
So I used to help my mum with dinner parties back in the 70s. It was a dinner party scene was big, and
it was an experience. It wasn't just food. It was actually an event.
Yeah, it was, and it was very competitive too. You had to do Oh yeah, you went to someone's house. You really had to pull all the stops out and do the best you could.
Now I think they just go and order Uber Eats.
Oh, probably. So I did that, and then a few decades went by, and I was in customer service for 30 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was a travel agent for 11 years, a social worker for a while, and then I did all the call centres, all the utilities. I did them all.
that customer experience really got you to understand people and what they wanted.
Yeah, my business is more about people and food. I love talking to people like I'm talking to you today. That's how I do business.
Yeah.
But I'll get back into that a bit later. But yeah, in 2014 and 15, I had some tragedy in my life, and there were quite a few people that I knew very well who died very suddenly. There were 5 in a row.
Wow.
And I was working in a call centre at the time, and I hated what I was doing. People were just whinging about this, that, and everything else. And I said to my husband, "Look, I can't do this anymore. I want to do something I love."
Yeah, yeah.
And it had always been in the back of my mind that I wanted to do something with food.
Yes.
But I have a physical disability.
Yeah.
And I was always encouraged to do jobs where I was sitting down.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and I never really thought I could be a chef because it was too much moving and too much standing and all that kind of stuff. So I put it in the back of my mind thinking, no, well, I obviously can't do it. But anyway, I thought, well, maybe I can do it.
Yeah.
After 50-something years of doing other things. So I quit my job, my call centre job, and started studying. I studied my Certificate 3 in catering operations, first of all.
Wow, great.
Then I went on to my Cert 3 in commercial cookery, and so I've just completed my Cert 4.
Oh, fantastic.
Commercial cookery. Finding a job was hard because I was a woman in my 50s to start with. I have a disability, secondly.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talk about ageism and discrimination at the moment, and it's true. It's real. It's real.
Oh, I 100% agree with you there. It is. I look at it this way. When I've been in business, I've always thought about the best people to hire are people in their 50s and 60s. And the reason I say that is simply because I know they're reliable. I know they're going to come to work. I know they've been through all the stuff that young people are going through, so that they've overcome that. And also they understand that you can't just quit. You've got to come up with solutions. And that's, and unfortunately a lot of people are not seeing the benefits of our older population, of how, and especially with now people are retired, but they can mentor people. They can show people the old ways of doing things that really do work.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I eventually, I was getting dishwashing jobs basically, which were horrible, but I got money from it. But I was offered to do a 50th birthday party for a friend.
Okay.
This was back in 2018, and it was 50 people. So she wanted like 10 pieces of finger food each, and I'm going, oh, that's a lot of food.
Yes.
And so I said, oh, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And it was a huge success.
Wow.
Everybody came up to me and asked me if I was in business and did I have a business card? I'm like, no, I don't. I'm not in business. And I thought, right, maybe I should be.
Do you think that the reason was the success was the passion you put in, that you were saying, hey, I know I can do this and I'm going to show you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Passion, and I'm very driven. Once I set my mind to something, I will just go for it till I get it. And so after that party, I looked for a kitchen to work in because I couldn't work from home. I now hire a kitchen at my local council.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Which is great. I've got a great relationship with them.
Yeah.
And so I basically started the business in September 2018.
Yeah.
It didn't really take off because I didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue.
Yeah.
I could cook. And I thought, I can cook, so I can run a business. No, it doesn't quite work that way.
Yes.
So I found a lovely lady, Sally Curtis, who is very well known in the industry.
Yes. I do know Sally.
Yeah, she helped me with all my marketing.
Wow.
And that's how I took off. Then COVID hit, of course.
Yeah. So when you were starting and you were in business, did you find that you had to diversify in the sense of what you thought you firstly wanted to do? And what I mean by that is you were doing, as you said, you do cocktail parties, you do the finger foods and all. Did you find that simple was better than trying to go overboard?
Yes, and I'm pretty strong on this.
Yep.
I have decided that what I do is finger food.
Yes.
That is it. I don't do sit-down dinners. I don't do dinner for 100 people.
Yep.
I decided that very early on.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of us caterers out there and we're all trying to do what we do, and everyone's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah.
So I had to stay in my lane.
Yes. I can understand that.
So I've stayed in my lane, and I've had people say to me, I had a lady text me the other day, lovely lady. Her friend was having her 50th birthday, and she wanted to sit down dinner. I said, sorry, I can't. I don't do that. But she texted me 3 days later and said, oh, the lady's changed her mind. She wants a cocktail party. So guess who's doing the cocktail party?
Fantastic.
So yeah, originally I wanted to work in a company in a catering business.
Yeah.
So actually doing it on my own wasn't really the plan.
Yes.
But, it's wonderful. And I meet all sorts of people. And my thing is to actually meet people in person. I like doing that rather than by the internet I usually find most of my clients on LinkedIn, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Over 90% have come from LinkedIn.
Wow. I don't think I know I don't use LinkedIn well enough. It's a great tool. And I suppose you're connecting with the right people. You're connecting with business owners that may need a party for their employees or for special events. You're meeting with event organisers, I suppose, who...
Yes.
And then, of course, you've got just the mum and dads and having private parties, but they see you on LinkedIn. That's great.
Yeah, there's getting a few corporates now. It's mainly because they don't, as my little mantra says, they don't want to do it themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm finding now that a lot of people say to me that they're sick of the platters, they're sick of the same old.
Yes.
And I offer something a bit different than what they've had before.
Yeah.
And because they've seen it all my pictures are on LinkedIn, on my profile.
I've seen it. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's not, as I said before in the intro, it's not sausage rolls and party pies and little cocktail
I do
fragments.
sausage rolls and party pies, but I'd cook them myself.
See, that's the difference. It's, to make a good party pie or sausage roll, it's not using the ingredients that the commercial bakers use. It's actually putting in and sourcing the right ingredients to make that taste.
And a lot of love goes into it as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I can see that in what you do.
Yeah.
And look, we're going to talk about your menus. Just like to know, and just you have touched on it, that it hasn't been easy sailing for you. You have overcome obstacles in your life. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, how you get over your obstacles? Because you have a disability, but it doesn't stop you.
No.
You're para-able, not the other way around. And I just applaud you for that, because you could have just said, no, it's too hard, I'll just, do this. But you followed your passion. But how do you overcome those obstacles?
I guess I'm driven, as I said, but there's more than one way to do something.
Yeah.
So in a commercial kitchen, everything's kind of laid out quite sensibly and that kind of thing. But if I need someone to do something like carry a heavy tray, I ask. It's that simple. And when I volunteer at Meals on Wheels, which I do every Wednesday, we all work together. So everybody just helps. That helps me.
Team environment.
It's a team. When I'm working on my own, it's as if I don't have a disability.
Great.
I just do stuff. Get around the kitchen. I don't fall over. I've got a lot of stuff to hold on to. So if I need to grab anything, but I get tired. But everybody gets tired.
Yeah.
After a 3 hours, and I don't work 8 hours straight.
Yes.
I work when I need to work.
Yeah.
And I need to work for as long as I need to work. Like my functions wouldn't go for more than 4 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
From start to finish.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you're not hanging around for 8 hours to, you get it done.
That's the good thing about catering.
Yeah.
It's different from your big functions like your sit-down dinners and that kind of thing.
Yes.
You can pre-prepare a lot of stuff in advance.
Yeah.
And whereas in sit-down dinners, you have to cook everything, a la minute, as they say in the industry.
That's right, straight away. Yeah.
And it's a lot more. There's a lot more pressure.
Yes.
But with me, I can pretty much do my own thing.
So is this one of the reasons that you decided to go for finger food, cocktail food? It makes it a little bit more easy, or is it just the fact that you like that gourmet style of catering?
I have to think about that one. I guess because it was more interesting.
Yeah.
And the cuisines that I explore in my cooking are different.
Yes.
There's lots of different things. Like I cook Indian food, I'll cook Middle Eastern food, I'll cook Italian food.
Yeah.
I'll cook a bit of any. If I see a recipe or I see something on the TV or something that I might want to turn into a canapé.
Yeah.
I'll just Google it and find a recipe and go from there. So it could be from Africa, or it could be from Australia, could be anywhere.
A lot of fusion coming in together.
I guess it's fusion. Yeah.
Well, let's explore that, the type of cuisine you do. Now, you specialise in cocktail food, in finger food.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you said you get your ideas from television or maybe in magazines, etc. How do you put them together? How do you know that it's going to work? Is it trial and error, or do you have an idea?
I don't. My trick is, and it's the trick of a lot of chefs, is that I follow the recipe once.
Yeah.
And if it works, then I'll tweak it from the rest of the time.
To make it your signature.
Yep.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and that's the fun part.
So when we're talking about, finger foods, what sort of products are we talking about? What sort of things that you do a bit differently than the standard sort of caterer would do that does everything?
Okay. I will do something like my Moroccan chicken pie, which is based on a product called a bastilla, which is it's actually North African. It's a celebratory pie using filo pastry.
Okay.
It's layers of filo pastry with poached chicken it's got all sorts of Moroccan spices in it, almonds, and it's got actually boiled egg in it.
Wow.
And it's all encased in filo pastry.
Yeah.
And it's got nuts in it as well. And it's sprinkled with cinnamon and icing sugar.
Oh, icing sugar as well. Wow.
In Africa, they use pigeon.
Yeah.
So in Australia, we don't have pigeon. Well, we do, but I wouldn't know how to cook it. And so I use chicken.
Yeah.
And that's something different. I've created a dish. It's kind of like a mini gyro, kofta. It's a mini meatball with African spices in it, but I make my own little flatbread.
Yeah.
And some hummus and put the meatball on top. And then some fresh tomato. So you've got a little bite of a kofta with, like, it's wrapped in
the pita.
Pita.
Wow.
So it's a little one bite or two bites.
So when you're looking at finger food, how many bites should finger food be, do you reckon? Should it be one or two?
Mine are definitely two.
Yeah.
2 or 3.
I've just noticed that sometimes
Depends on whether you're a man or a woman.
Yes, in one sense, but I notice that when sometimes I go to these events and you get some finger food, thought hasn't been put into size. And what I mean by that is it's very hard to juggle a napkin with a huge bit of food on there. And also sometimes they'll put sauces on that are so runny that it just goes straight down, straight down your top. So when you're coming up with these menus and you've got, you do research and you do put things together. It's not just a matter of putting something out of a box. You're putting the passion in. They're fresh. You're fusing them together. How do you come up with these menus so you go and see someone and they say, I don't know what I want. How do you come up with a menu?
What I do is if I meet someone, say I connect with someone on LinkedIn, for instance, which I do a lot, I will offer to meet them in person or a coffee or a tea.
Yep.
Because I'm a people person. I like to get to know who I'm potentially cooking for.
Yeah.
It may not end up in a sale, but that's okay. They may know someone who needs a caterer.
Yes, that's true.
So it's 2 degrees of separation.
Especially in Adelaide.
So we'll have a chat, and what I will ask them is what their favourite food is. What do they like to eat?
Yeah.
So what do you like to eat, Ron?
I like Italian. I'm very much into Asian food. Especially love satay, so one of my favourite.
Yeah, okay. So what I would do then is we look at the menu and even if I didn't have the menu with me, we hadn't got to that stage, I'd say, well, I've got a beautiful, if you like Thai food, I've got a great Thai meatball recipe.
Oh, wow.
Which is you'd love.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of tying up their favourite food to something on my menu. And that gets the taste buds flowing and the interest is I was only talking to Sally about this the other day. The look on people's faces for me when I ask that question is like, it's a real one. It's a wonderment, curiosity look followed by a smile.
Yes, yes.
Oh, what do I like to eat? And they really have to think about it. And that's kind of what my signature thing.
Well, I think it's great because, when I've had to organise events before and the catering comes up, this is menu 1, 2, 3, 4, pick one.
Mm.
And
it's hard to do.
It's hard to do, but it's also when you look at, say, dietary requirements, for example, or it might be cultural. You can't pick 1, 2, 3 or 4 menu. There might be things that you have to look at. For example, in the Italian culture, there are certain things that we eat on certain events.
Mm-hmm.
If it's maybe Jewish, there's certain things they can't eat.
Mm-hmm.
And then it could be something as simple as a gluten-free alternative being on there.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with that when people say, look, I've got dietary requirements. I can't have nuts or I can't have gluten or maybe it's lactose intolerant?
Mm-hmm. It's difficult because you can't please everybody.
Yeah.
I try my best, particularly with gluten-free. There's so many gluten-free people out there now. A lot of my canapes are gluten-free.
Okay, yeah.
There's some dairy-free on it. I don't do much halal because I don't have call for it. I don't do a lot of vegan either.
Is that right?
I do a lot of vegetarian,
yeah,
but not vegan.
Well, yeah, I suppose vegetarian is something that people are turning to now in the sense of eating less meat. But I suppose people still like their eggs, their cheese, their butter, and they're not going full, plant-based.
Yeah.
When you are getting to that stage where you need to plan and it's coming to putting it all together, how do you source your ingredients? Is it sometimes hard to get ingredients?
No, not really. I mean, I go to the market. I go to my supermarkets. Budget is with food being, 25% dearer than it was a year ago.
Yes.
Price is obviously a factor.
Mm-hmm.
So I try and do it as economically as I can for the customer. I try and go to the best places I can.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on what I'm cooking. Using the freshest produce is obviously the best thing to do.
Love to hear that. Love to hear that because there's too many people out there in catering that just aren't looking at the best. They're just ordering, especially when they order online to get things in. You don't know what you're getting.
I don't. I like actually going and looking at fruit, particularly fruit and veg.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to look good because otherwise it's not going to taste good.
Yeah, exactly right. I 100% agree with that.
So, and at the market, there's a lot. I think the food's a lot fresher.
Yeah.
And it's more fun to shop around.
It is, and I suppose you're also discovering new products.
Yes. I discovered a spice shop at the market the other day. I thought, I'm going to come back here.
Love spices, especially, the smell just gets you in. And that's something I've loved when I've travelled overseas is the spice markets. And
yes.
It's just amazing what you can do with some of those spices.
It is. It's fun. I love experimenting with things. It's, that's when I haven't got functions on, I go to my commercial kitchen and if I grab a new recipe and try it out, it might make the menu, it might not, but that's the fun part of my job. Well, it's all fun, but
the tasting of it too it would be fun as well. So, Sara, tell us more about the events that you do cater for. Like, if I want to come to you, what would your ideal client be that you could get that passion out to?
Well, I'll cook for anyone who loves food, doesn't want to do it, and doesn't want to cook, or doesn't. Well, I do so have some people who like to cook, but they don't want to do it themselves.
Yes.
Oh, my ideal client. I think my ideal client would be someone who's interested enough in food to really talk about it with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rather than just say, I want this, this, and this.
Yes.
The ones that actually talk about what's on the menu and how it's made and what the ingredients are. And because I don't label all my food on the menu, it would take too long to read.
Yes.
It's 3 pages as it is. So it would be a bit of a chore to read it. But I think
it'd be fun to eat it all, though.
Yeah. But I basically cook what people love to eat.
Yeah.
And
so basically the passion comes out from the person itself, exploring who they are, what they are, their taste palette, and
who they are, where they've come from, what they do. Of course, what they love to eat, which is it's a really big question for me because that tells me a lot about who they are, where they've come from.
Yep.
And whether they like cooking, whether they have a partner who likes cooking. Like I met a lady yesterday. She doesn't like cooking, but her husband does.
Oh, wow.
So she was describing this amazing lamb dish that he cooked the other day. I'm like, oh, I'm hungry now.
Yeah.
But there's conversations like that,
Yeah.
that just make my job. Well, it's not a job really. Doesn't feel like a job anyway.
That's what it's all about. If it's a passion that you love, then, go for it, because at the end of the day, you're not working, you're actually enjoying, and that's what we miss a lot of.
Yeah, that's what we all aim for.
Yeah, exactly right. So if we're looking at numbers, what sort of numbers do you like to cater for?
Okay, I cater for a minimum of 20 and a maximum of 80.
Well, that's about the average event.
But I can go lower than 20, but then it gets pricier the less people you have.
Of course, yeah.
Because you've still got food costs and all that kind of stuff. But my favourite number is 50. 50 is a great number because it's doable. There's a nice number of people.
Yes.
And the functions that I love to do are the ones where I'm amongst everybody. So I'm in the open kitchen.
Oh, okay, great.
Most of my stuff's already cooked. I just have to heat it up. But, I'm heating stuff up, chatting to people. Did a function in January. It was a 97th birthday.
Oh, yes.
And all the grandchildren were sitting at the kitchen bench while I was preparing my canapes. And they were like, oh. I said, would you like one? And she said, oh, no, I can't have one. But it was, that's cool. It was that's cool for me.
Yeah, it was like a show. You're putting on a show for them.
Yeah, wow. But it's really personal. It's really intimate, and you get to know people. And when people say to me, loved your food, see you next time, that's just a bonus.
It's fantastic. And Sara, I know that, if you look at the cruise liners now, one of their biggest draw cards is where the chef actually joins the people.
I didn't know that.
They have these like maybe 8 to 12 people, and it's in the centre of the restaurant. And what they do is the chef will come and cook. And then sit down and eat and explain the dishes. And this is where you're coming from, because you're doing something similar in a household sort of way, is you're showing and showcasing what you're doing rather than just here's the platter.
Here's the food, yeah.
And, I could imagine the people looking over there saying, I want that. I'm going to eat that. When is it coming out, know? So it's sort of –
or is there more of those?
Yeah. And I think that's great because, catering and food especially, and I love food, and I think it's a journey. I don't look at food as something to fill me up. And that's just great.
It should be a joy.
Yeah, it should be, Not enough people using it for fuel rather than also enjoyment. We must have to look at nutrition and all that, but we've got to enjoy what we eat.
Yes, exactly. I agree. Couldn't agree more.
So you were saying before that you prepare a lot of this beforehand and then you put it together when you get to the venue? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. A lot of it I can pre-prepare, refrigerate. Some of it I freeze.
Yep.
Because I have to.
Yes.
And there's a knack to that. I mean, depending on what I'm cooking as to how long it will freeze for and all that kind of stuff. So I work all that out.
Yeah.
Depending on the menu. So that's a bit of a chefy thing.
Yes.
But in general, most of the stuff is ready and just to be heated or I plate up a lot of stuff. Well, I plate up what I can at home or wherever I am.
Yes.
But it depends on the size and, what they've ordered. For a corporate event, for instance, I guess it can be similar, but I'll take a lot of the stuff already platted up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends on the function.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And what sort of premises you do it at home, of course, at people's homes?
Yes.
You do it at offices? What about if people are having, say, maybe they're having a wedding where they want to have cocktail food rather than having a sit-down meal, but it's a bit out the way. Can you do something like that?
Depends on the distance.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a refrigerated vehicle.
Okay.
So that I can't travel too far.
Yeah.
And it will also depend on the venue. A lot of venues don't allow outside catering.
Yeah.
So that has to be determined first as well.
That's very important for people to know that because they might think, I'll just, go to wherever and I'll just get my own caterer.
Yeah, there are certain places that will not allow outside caterers at all.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough. That's part of how they make their money. That's fine.
Yes.
So, I'm always on the lookout for new places to suggest to people.
Yeah. Do you have relationships with party planners or event organisers, or if they want to use you, will you work in with them?
Yes and no. I don't work with a lot of them.
Yeah.
Because my functions are so small.
Yeah.
Event planners tend to organise, massive events for 200-300 people. I've been offered to do that, but I would rather concentrate on quality.
Yeah.
And what I'm actually physically capable of.
Yes.
Rather than stretch myself so far that my food is substandard, which is not acceptable to me, and obviously wouldn't be acceptable to my clients.
Yes.
So it's more important to me to do the job right.
Yep.
If it's for 20 people or 80 people.
Yeah.
Or even 100. I can do even 100, but no more than that.
Yeah.
This is how I've planned it.
Yeah. So your business is all about people.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the journey of the food, and it's also intimate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a perfect for majority of people out there. This is a perfect opportunity to get you to come in, because they're not just getting menu 1, 2, and 3, and 4. They're getting something that's prepared for them, especially for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's cooked with passion, great ingredients fused together. It sounds like a dream
all
come
handmade
true.
too. I don't buy anything in.
Handmade. Wow, that's unusual these days, because people just look at cost and see what the cheapest way of doing it. And I suppose that's the other thing. You know what's going into your food.
Absolutely.
Quick question: what is your favourite food?
I love Mediterranean food. Mediterranean, Middle Eastern. Oh, I love it. I could eat it every day.
I have to say, I agree with you. I love that Mediterranean style. Anywhere from Moroccan, Italian, Greek, Spanish.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah, I love that sort of food. And that's one good thing about Adelaide, I suppose, just before we finish up. We have got so much good food here. And if you go into what I love is to go to the Adelaide markets, and I will spend an hour or two just walking up and down the aisles just looking at food. And, we've got paella, we've got pasta, we've got Asian, we've got, everything you could imagine in that small little market.
Yeah, it's very good. I mean, I hadn't been there for a while. I was there last week. And it's just wonderful just to wander around. And it was a Tuesday, so I wasn't very busy.
Yeah,
there weren't heaps of people there.
But you could that's good, because then you can get through and really have a good look.
Yeah.
And the smells, it's just so, I love the mushrooms.
You're making me hungry, Ron.
It's nearly lunchtime. We'll have to have lunch. Sarah, if people do want to find out more about you and how you can create an extraordinary catering event for them, how can they contact you?
Okay, well, I'm contactable by email on srothermel2013@gmail.com, or by phone 0414 986 831. I'm also on LinkedIn and Facebook, so you can contact me via Messenger on either of those. That's pretty much it, I think.
Look, we're going to have all of those contact details and links on our media pages, on all our social media pages, and also in the show notes, so you can grab them there. So just look in the show notes from this podcast and you'll see them, or just go to Podcast City on all the socials to see them as well. Sarah, thank you so much for coming in today and talking to us. I hope to get to one of your events, I want to try some of your food. So take me on that journey.
I'll try to. Please.
So definitely want to come. Definitely want to come to one. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Ron. Been a pleasure. Thank you.
Today on the Adelaide Project Business Spotlight podcast and radio show, we have been speaking with Sara Rothermel from Amuse La Bouche Catering. Sarah creates extraordinary catering events based on her clients' wants and needs. This podcast is brought to you by Podcast City. If you would like to know more information about starting your own podcast, from planning your podcast to recording, editing, filming, and distributing your very own podcast to the world, just go to podcastcity.com.au. I'm Ron Fiedler for the Adelaide Project Business Spotlight. Until we meet again, bye for now.